It all began with this now iconic chair.
Because when you love what you do, it won't feel like work. So I began to create my first design. This is about 12, 13 years ago. And this was called the yin and yang. Very simple skeletal structure made out of rattan and steel. This was back in 1997. It's beautiful because it allows the light to flow through. It doesn't block the view. When I was making this was very, very different.
But you said it took 3 years before you actually sold something.
That's right. Yes, yes.
Did that scare you?
Oh, yes. Because I insisted, that the companies who were buying the designs had to label them as Filipino. It had to be under my name and not theirs. And they couldn't change the name of the collection, which was standard at that time. So people abroad, so people abroad wouldn't know where they came from. So you were a nameless supplier.
So your buyer stopped buying?
My buyer stopped buying. And, they said, who are you to demand these things from us? And so I said, well, take your business then elsewhere. And that was it. So the factory floor was empty. We didn't have, so our craftsmen were just sweeping floors. We were just keeping them, and we ran into a lot of debt.
Really? It was that bad?
Yes, because the buyer that we were looking for wasn't coming to the Philippines to buy this kind of furniture. They were all buying them in Europe.
But Kenneth Cobonpue's persistence and foresight paid off, and things began to fall into place according to his design.
Under Eli Pinto?
Yes, under the late Eli Pinto. And with Buji Layog, when they invited me to exhibit abroad with a group of 7 other designers, showcasing the best of the country in shows everywhere from Shanghai up to Paris. And then the press and the people saw me.
This was 19...
This was about 98.
So it took a while. You were close to closing shop?
Not really, but there were times when I was already asking myself, should I go on or do something else? And I was looking at all the other companies, the Cebuano companies around me, and seeing them, grow and seeing them so prosperous actually. Yeah. And in coffee shops, they were talking about how many containers they ship.
So you were starting to doubt yourself?
I was enjoying what I was doing and making all these. I had then about maybe 1 or 2 collections from what you see here today. So some of what you see here came from that period when I did those designs.
Do you remember the first order?
Yes, I remember the most significant one was from an antiques dealer, in fact, in Spain, who was based in Madrid. And he bought the yin and yang, and he said, "Sure, I'll put it under your name." But he had never done this kind of thing before because he was selling antiques, but really expensive antiques.
So at that time, I guess you thought the tide had turned.
Yes, yeah. And then, when I was in all these foreign shows, all these famous designers that I had read about, in my books, in books, came to me. In fact, in the show, and they were pointing out, they said, this is really good design.
Like who? Name them.
There was Marcel Wonders.
He came?
Marcel Wonders came.
Already at that point in 1998?
Yes, Marcel Wonders, Ross Lovegrove, and they eventually came to the Philippines. They came to Cebu, in fact, to work with me. Yeah, they did.
Long before Hollywood's A-listers took notice of Kenneth Cobonpue, the rock stars of design like Marcel Wanders and Ross Lovegrove had discovered the designer.
I've worked with them, yeah. I mean, Marcel, I've worked for like a week at a time. Ross Lovegrove came with his whole team in the factory for a week and a half. And we were making different experiments. They did. And I met them that time.
But that's also how they mentor people? Is that what they do if they see talent? I mean, you were nameless.
Yeah, and they were just walking along the halls, and they just spotted that. And so, I remember Ross, and he said, "Who designed this?" Yeah, and so I went up to him and said, "Sir, that's me," So he said, so he was talking about himself and everything. Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I know you," and so he was saying, this is really good design. Just keep it up.
That must have been a tremendous boost.
Oh yes, yeah. Because in the end, it's not about the Hollywood celebrities or it's respect from your peers. It's the most fulfilling.
And it came so early in your career.
And the booth that I had then, this was before Movement 8, was really way back out. Really where the Philippines used to be located.
The temptation never came to leave the Philippines during this time when, that drought.
Oh yes, there was, yes. I thought about it a lot of times, said maybe I should just go back to Europe or to the US.
And what stopped you?
It was just Movement 8 was very timely because then I was too busy to think about that. I just wanted to go, and I saw the potential of what Filipino design could be when marketed well, when packaged differently.
But it's not just the marketing and the packaging, it's the craftsmanship. Design?
Yes, the craftsmanship, the design, of course. It starts there.
How did you get, workers to have that same passion?
But they're very proud. They love challenges. Craftsmen, they don't want to do actually...
What do we call them?
Artisans. They love challenges. So this was all made by...
Kenneth Cobonpue likens designing furniture to architecture, and to achieve the highest quality, each piece he designs has a blueprint.
Designing, creating a beautiful thing, you have to have quality in it. Okay? Something which made in the Philippines is not really known for in the world. So we build this like the Japanese and Germans do. So we treat each one like a car.
From 150 artisans, Kenneth Cobonpue now employs 600, including 200 from his newly established company, Hive. He has offices in New York, Germany, and a distribution center in Portugal. Kenneth Cobonpue holds the distinction of being the only global luxury brand that is 100% made in the Philippines. Next on People.
You're a reject from UP College of Fine Arts?
That's right, right.